Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us in this spirit of perfect harmony. We are the Center for Spiritual Living, West Georgia. We study and practice the philosophy and science of the mind we know as God. And with our spiritual presence here this morning, we create a higher state of consciousness and rise above any negative energy we may have experienced this past week and manifest love. Love we know is synonymous to God. Today we have a special speaker, Jennifer Ferren, and we have seen her before. She has done a marvelous job for us, and we will let her take it from here, or let the next person introduce and continue the chain. Welcome.
Okay, awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. I am going to go ahead and I get to talk and let people in from the waiting room at the same time. This is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share our vision and our mission statement. So let me bring this in if it wants to do the right thing. And of course, yeah, it's not. Okay. So, hello, Zoom. You want to work together with me? There you go. Thank you. I do appreciate that. All right. So, here is our vision and our mission statement. CSL West Georgia is a joyful global community where everyone belongs. Through our unique spiritual teachings, we provide a safe environment to experience compassionate living. And our declaration of principles: I believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. There is one life of which I am a part,
one
one
intelligence
intelligence
which I use, one substance which takes form as my life.
my life. And so it is. Okay.
So it
Well,
is.
it is, absolutely. So I am going to go ahead and pass it on to Miss Connie, I'm sorry, Miss Cynthia, so that she can introduce our guest speaker and artist. Thank you. Cynthia, you need to unmute.
Finally. I know, I'm trying. I heard some planets in retrograde and communications all crazy. I believe it. Uh, Welcome, everybody. It's really good to see you. It's really good to have my friend Jennifer Ferren come and be with us again. Uh, Jennifer is a 30-year veteran of New Thought music director and speaker, as well as an independent recording artist. Her passion is sharing music and messages with receptive audiences such as we are. And Jennifer, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Da, 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 da. Hello, everybody. It is an honor to be with everyone today. I was so happy to listen to the music before service started, listening to Ricky BB. You know, I always forget to put New Thought music on when I'm feeling kind of weird and shaky. And I was feeling a little weird and shaky this morning when I woke up, and just listening to the groove of Ricky Byers Beck, or Ricky Byers now. But just listening to her groove and her mojo, she really is a powerful, powerful force. Well, today we're going to talk about transformation, and the name of the talk is called If Caterpillars Do It, Then So Can We. Breaking through our individual glass ceilings is really the human analogy of the caterpillar metamorphing. And we all know and feel a big change is a coming. It's been coming for quite some time. And everybody thought 2020 was going to be the year of crystal clear vision and where everything made sense. And what happens when you assume stuff like that? Everything that is other than that is going to show up to test us to see if, in fact, we can use our teachings and see things with clarity no matter what. And it's also about allowing change to happen around us. And again, just staying in the form of the teachings, staying in the wisdom and the discernment of our teachings, and being able to be strong all through it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I travel a lot for my work. I go to many, many states, and I usually drive because I'm carrying gear and CDs and stuff like that. It's just easier to have my own vehicle. So as a result, I end up listening to NPR a lot, especially when I'm on the road. And so I get great content from my talks off of NPR. And this particular show that I was listening to, it was a science show. I think I was heading down to Florida when I was listening to it. And it was about the process of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. And it was kind of sciencey, but I like learning things I like learning new things. And our brains love to and absorb really neat new information. And I never really understood the transformation process. I knew it wrapped itself up, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just came out a butterfly. But I didn't know what happened while it had wrapped itself up. So as the caterpillar wraps itself up tight, and let me get my glasses on, and readies itself for the transformation process, over the next few hours and days inside of its pupa, which is what his little house is called, that it wraps itself around, the caterpillar totally digests itself, dissolving most of its physical matter and leaving only a certain organized group of cells called imaginal discs. Isn't that interesting? Imaginal discs. And these are the little cell formats that are going to tell it what to be once it breaks out and shifts into the butterfly. And these imaginal discs have each of the adult body parts it will need to be a mature butterfly or a moth. And from all of that soupy goopy DNA, an entire new entity begins to be formed. And what marked me as very, very fascinating is that every caterpillar since the beginning of time has crawled along and marched its way, through the grass, up trees, across streets. I see lots of caterpillars in the road when it's that time of year. I walk around my neighborhood a lot, and every single caterpillar has bought into this and gone through this process. It doesn't ask why. It doesn't say, oh God, am I going to have to turn into goo? Really? What? Am I going to have to totally transform? It doesn't whine. It doesn't complain. It doesn't even think twice about it. It's just innate in its system that this is what it does. And all caterpillars do it, and then they transform into all these beautiful varieties of butterflies. And they don't balk at the process at all. They just simply do it. And what is it they do? They completely surrender. They completely commit to the process. They completely trust. And if caterpillars do it, so can I. So I wrote a cute little song, and I'm going to do the song right here, because that's what I do. I do message and music, and sometimes the music happens inside the message. So here it goes. How do I expect to change overnight, sprout new wings and take to flight? How do I live when I just died? If caterpillars do it, then so can I. How can I go from crawling on the ground, then get wrapped up tightly bound, turn to goo and then see the light? If caterpillars do it, then so can I. How do I trust divine alchemy? Know the answers when I don't have any. Trust in laws that I should defy. If caterpillars do it, then so can I. Well, how do I turn my life around? Lose myself and then be found. Trust in God and not ask why. Why? Well, caterpillars do it, then so can I. How How do I dissolve? Oh, wait. How can I have the will to try, then dissolve in the blink of an eye? Stay enlightened all the time. That's the trick. If caterpillars do it, then so can I. Well, how do I have divine alchemy? Know the answers when I don't have any. Trust in laws I should defy. If caterpillars do it, then so can I. If caterpillars do it, then so can I. You know, if we simply watch nature and observe, we learn so much from nature. We can learn a lot from caterpillars. So we humans are given the gift of free will. Wow, thanks a lot, God. You're so funny. Sometimes I imagine God and all of my guardian angels just kind of floating around and watching from the other side and looking at me just like they're watching a Super Bowl game. And every time I do something that's in truth and in divine wisdom, they're like, yay! Like I just scored a touchdown or a field goal or something. And then when they see me trip and fumble, they're like, oh. But some of us can vacillate between using our human will and then opening up to God's will. And it's really the trick. That's the whole crux of the biscuit, isn't it? That's what enlightenment is learning how to live in that space of just allowing God in every second of every waking moment. I have been doing since this time last year. Actually, I wrote this talk 2 years ago. For the past 2 years, I don't do it as often as I did then, but I was saying a prayer every night as I got into bed. Just, dear God, I absolutely and completely surrender myself to you. Anything that happened today, anything that has happened in my past, anything that may be trapped in a cellular level inside of me, I just absolutely surrender everything to you right here and now. All of the good, all of the bad, and everything, and all of the gray, everything in between, I just absolutely surrender it to you and allow your will to work through me. And then my mom moved in. And that's been a test for me to surrender and to allow God's will. And I was just telling the girls before everybody logged on, it's amazing when you're able to stay in that space. I had to take Mom to a doctor's appointment the other day. She had come down with something and I needed to get her in. And I went to 3 different places before I finally found some place that could get her in. And I was getting frustrated and I was getting annoyed. And then in the car driving over to the next place, because the first office is like, well, our office can't see you, but our other office in Marietta can get her in. So you're going to have to go and wait. So I get there and then we wait for 2 hours in that waiting room. It was just one of those truly patient testing days where God, the universe is testing your patience. Or as my husband would say, just random crazy things were happening. And I just had to suck it up and keep going and see what the gift was in all of it. And all of a sudden, after we get down from the doctor's appointment, we take the elevator down to the main floor. There's a pharmacy in that 3rd building where the 3rd doctor's office was. And the pharmacy was doing COVID vaccinations. And we all know what the hot ticket for the COVID vaccination is. And I've been on Refresh and tried to get Mom in for her COVID, and my husband too, because he's over 65. And the divine gift, after going through all of that stuff and me going, okay, I know I'm just going to breathe into this and roll with this day. And I know that something good is going to come out. Well, all of a sudden we pop out of the elevator and I peek in and I said, are you guys doing COVID vaccines here? And they're like, yeah, we're done for the day, but we're about to make our schedule for the next couple of weeks. And I said, is it possible to put my mom and my husband on the list? And they're like, sure. So I, at least at this point, I have them on a list. And so I'm thinking that they were probably we're going to get the call that they're going to be able to get their vaccines. But it's like, I went back to my truth. I went back to breathing. I went back to calm. And I just said, God, show me the way today. Show me the gift in this day. And the gift was she got diagnosed and got medication immediately. And if all goes well, we by chance stumbled onto a way for her and Eddie to get their COVID vaccines. And I'm just so grateful. And that's what happens when we allow divine will to enter in, and we get out of our ego, and we get out of our little human annoyances and our angst. I feel angsty a lot. I'm type A and I'm Virgo. So, you know, I'm going all the time. So it's a real test for me to learn how to, when I see I'm going to that angsty spot, just focus on the truth of the moment. Just focus on the truth of what is. And to just remember to surrender everything, like that prayer is that I'm doing frequently for the past couple of years, just surrendering to everything. And my life is evolving and it is shifting. And my relationship with my mom is shifting, and my relationship with my husband is shifting. And isn't that what happens when we remember to go to spirit and to just relax in the flow? Great things that beyond what we could even imagine start happening. And I got a text out of the blue the other day that one of my friends that I did a workshop for, a retreat, a goddess retreat down in Pompano, a Unity of Pompano, Florida. One of the girls from that had written a book called The Goddess Tribe, and she texted me out of the blue and wanted me to do a musical, wanted me to help her write a musical. And my daughter is musical theater, but I had never even thought of the possibility of writing a musical. But, you know, that's what happens when we're constantly saying, God, show me the way, lead me. I am here. I am an open vessel. I am ready. Lead me to what is mine to do. And when we can do that consistently enough, really cool random things start to open up for us. And it's all about surrender. I'm going to do one of my other songs right now. And you guys can sing along. You're all on mute, so you don't have to worry about interrupting anything if you sing along. But the tagline is surrender. So when I nod my head really big to you, you're going to say the word surrender, or you're going to sing it. Just surrendering everything to God, just like caterpillars do. When you're lost and you're afraid, when you cannot find your way, surrender. When you're feeling all alone, like you don't have a home, oh, surrender. When you're out there on the street, you're about to claim defeat, surrender. And the moment you do, then your soul's gonna be alright. When the answers are unclear and there's nothing left but fear, what do? Surrender. When you're feeling all confused, when you're battered and bruised, what do? Surrender. When you're guilty and ashamed, there ain't no one else to blame, surrender. And the moment you do, then your soul's gonna be alright. I'm telling you to surrender all your troubles and pain, surrender. Let it fall like rain, and remember to let love lift you up again. Ooh. When your mind is full of doubt and you just can't sort it out, surrender. When coming down your road. You got nowhere to go. What do? Surrender. When your aching cannot heal, there's no feelings left to feel. Surrender. And the moment you do, all your soul is going to fly. And all you got to do is surrender. You just let it all go. Surrender to right and perfect flow. Remember to let love lift you up again. Let's breathe into that thing. I see little hands, little air claps. It's so cute. It's like little angel wings flapping. I love it. Let's breathe into that for just a second, shall we? I need that this morning. I need to surrender to God's will this morning. I think this whole planet would do well to surrender to God's will this morning. So let's just close our eyes for a brief moment. I'm going to continue on with the talk. I'm not going into meditation. But let's just breathe into that. And with each breath in, and then pushing that breath slowly out, just imagine everything. Imagine that it's all that muck and goo and stuff that needs to go. And just breathe in the love. And breathe out everything else that is less than that. Everything that is awesome and possibilities and joyous and divinely guided, we breathe that in. And then we gently release anything else that is other than that. So I looked up in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and that's a huge compilation that Charles Fillmore of Unity, co-creator of Unity, put together with the help, I'm sure, of a lot of people. But it's this huge, I should have brought it to show you. If none of you have it, it's a really neat thing to get. It's a metaphysical look at different names and phrases and things that are in the Bible, and it's what they mean. So I was wondering about the word transformation, and it's set up like a dictionary. And so everything is in alphabetical order. And so I was wondering what the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary take on transformation was. And the word transformation wasn't under the T's where it should have been. It just wasn't in there. But there was another word that was right where it should have been, and it was called trachonitis. And trachonitis is actually a physical location. It's an area of the Middle East that King Herod's brother Philip owned. And so it went on to talk about the rocky terrain and everything. But I started wondering, well, I wonder what Herod means. Herod is an interesting character in Christianity history. So I looked up Herod, and here's what the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary says about King Herod. And mind you, these are metaphysical interpretations of these people or these places or things that come from the Bible. King Herod was described as this: a very strong, hard, resistant state of thought in man, whose central ruling idea is power, exercised in selfish, personal reason and will, unmodified by spiritual understanding and love. Nicely played, universe. I was looking for something in that Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and through a couple of different stumbles, I ended up on what is the very crux of humanity's issue when we get stuck in selfish, personal reason and will. And when we get stuck in power for the sake of ego power and not for the sake of empowerment and learning and wisdom and becoming more enlightened. And that's exactly the state of mind that keeps us from transforming. Charles Fillmore goes on to say, under the definition of Herod, and I just love all the teachings from all the master teachers. And boy, there's so many of them. But this one really hit the mark. This one really, really hit the mark for me. He goes on to say, under the definition of Herod, we must be on our best guard against this subtle sense mind and take tender care of the little innocent new idea that has been born deep down in the heart. Doesn't that feel fantastic? The innocent little idea that has been born deep down in the heart. I interpret that as saying we must remember the divine essence of who we are, which buries itself deep inside of our hearts and awaits our simple choice every moment, every day, to open a space for it to shine through. My really good friend Susie down in Fort Myers, she was a music minister at Unity of Fort Myers for many, many years. And she just wrote this new song called Better Days. And if you're on Facebook, look for Susie's page, Susie Hulcher. Its song is called Better Days. And just the words are just beautiful. She's quite the New Thought poet. And she doesn't even know it, but she just really is. She's one of those people that is just so spectacular and just has no idea how spectacular she is. But in that song, Better Days, she talks about the heart has a door that only opens from the inside. And so it's up to us to open the door of our heart from the inside so that we can look out and see what's out there and that we can be guided and that we can find our way. So here's that prayer again that I say every night before I go to sleep. And I kind of stumbled through it paraphrasing, but I want to read how I wrote it out because it's been very powerful for me. And I hope that it will be powerful for you to remember because we are all individually. I think that if we can individually transform ourselves and our hearts and our bodies and minds, when we transform and can live at a certain level of vibration, that automatically gives everyone else around us the permission to do the same. And you don't have to go out and proselytize, what's that word, proselytize? You don't have to go out and preach the gospel to everyone you meet, but you can show by example. You can simply be by example. And so let's close our eyes for a little bit and take some deep breaths in while I say this prayer. Divine Spirit, I completely surrender my human will and completely surrender to higher power during this phase of sleep. And I remember to let it continue as I awaken in the morning. I allow divine will to work through me as I completely let go of everything I am right now. I trust that divine will is guiding me always. For this, I give great thanks. So let's open our eyes back up and let's close our time. I want to invite all of you this year to awaken, to just remember to open that little tiny door of your heart, to let those tender little ideas and hopes and dreams come forward. Who would have thought I'd be writing a musical right now? That's just such a random thing. I mean, I'm a musician, but who'd have thunk? I mean, what are you guys all capable of? What's going on with all of you? And it doesn't necessarily have to be something musical or something artistic. Maybe it's planting a garden. Who knows? But if you've had some ideas and you've been kicking them around, open that little tiny door of your heart and let those little tiny ideas come out. My neighbor Chuck, I'm pointing because he lives right on the other side of the wall there. He just retired from Coca-Cola and they wanted to know what he wanted for a retirement gift. And he said, I'd like a rototiller. And all of a sudden, he's going to turn into Farmer Chuck. He's just had this idea rattling. He's lived next to me all these years and he's never thought about planting vegetables and stuff. But by golly, there's just something in him that awakened and he decided he wanted to be a farmer. So he's going to try it. And so let's see what all of you guys can come up with this year. Corona is definitely giving us a chance to sit tight and to have space to and time, lots of time to ourselves. And so it's the perfect opportunity for us to start thinking, what do we want to do? What are we going to be? What can we create? Remind yourselves as often as you need to. Write yourself Post-it notes, put alarms on your smartphone to beep at you a few times throughout the day to remind you to just awaken. Be open and willing to surrender yourselves at any given point throughout your day. If energy is not flowing and you're hitting speed bumps or blocks, then just step back, find a quiet spot, and like I was saying to the girls before we logged on, just focus on the truth of what's true for you right now. I am safe. I am a divine, holy child of spirit. Great things can be done through me. Those are truths. Those are hardcore divine truths that you can always fall back on and focus your energy on. Because as you are focusing on the good, as Wayne Dyer says, and many psychologists and spiritual teachers say, it's hard for opposing thoughts to go off in your brain at the same time. And so if you have the angst, just close yourself back off a little bit from everybody and take some breaths and just imagine those tiny little thoughts being moved out of you and being breathed through you with divine will and divine spirit. This is the year. 2020 taught us a lot of things not to do. And it also, in the midst of all of the stuff that has happened in the past 12 months, a lot of miracles have come forth. And a lot of people are starting to stand in their light and show their neighbors by example. How it is to just constantly search for that enlightenment and embody that enlightenment. And so I invite all of you to do that this year and especially focus on that prayer. And if you want, I'll type it up and send it to Cynthia and she can give it to all of you guys. It's a really powerful prayer to work with. And know that I love all of you. I'm so very grateful to share with you this morning. I send all of you blessings upon blessings, and I wish you the very, very best. So until we meet again, namaste.
Oh my goodness, Jennifer, thank you so much. We just truly appreciate your gifts and your talents. And before I forget, because you guys know that I sometimes forget to put things in the chat window. Here is how you can connect with Jennifer. Her Facebook page is the best way to do it. I also, the person, Susie Holcher, that she mentioned, that Facebook page is there for you all as well. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I think about how I'm a second grade teacher, right? And one of the things that the units in science that we're about to do is we're about to get some butterfly larvae and for the students, and they watch the larvae, eat and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they go into their, chrysalis and break forth. And, I just listening to your talk, I was just thinking that, like this little, if they did not transform, they would have been forced to just crawl around and be on little twigs if they were out in nature, just vulnerable to anything that comes around to pick them up. But they go into this moment of darkness and then they break forth in transformation, and then they can fly in the sky,
And to your point, Marcia, they are crawling on the lowest possible ground that they can crawl on, and then suddenly as they climb up the tree and transform, then all of a sudden they can fly to whatever heights they want to fly to.
Whatever heights they can fly to, and then they contribute by cross-pollinating, so that we can all, not only are they beautiful, but then they add to the beauty of our world because they're cross-pollinating with, as they land on flower to flower.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just love that talk. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, my family, it is time for me to start sharing with you all. Hopefully, if it works for us. Here it does, going to work for us. Great. Our conscious giving, and so sorry, I forgot. Let me see if I can put it in the chat window right now. Let's see. There you go. It worked. Fabulous. So there are 3 ways that you can contribute to our center. If you feel, if you're comfortable with going to send an electronic payment, there is a link for PayPal in the chat window. It is also shows up in our newsletter. If you feel more comfortable with mailing your check, a physical check, that's our address on the window. It's also in the chat window, and it's also on the newsletter. And I just love that little smiley box that shows up at our door from time to time. So I just love sharing with everyone that if you are an Amazon shopper, or even if you shop occasionally with Amazon, go ahead and just, right now, just connect with us on Amazon through their Smile program. That's their charitable giving program for their corporation. And once you've connected with us, all you have to do is go smile.amazon.com. And then whatever amount you choose to spend for the items that you're buying from Amazon, Amazon looks at that amount and then sends a portion of that amount to our center. So let's all come together and, center and affirm in our giving affirmation. I am grateful for the divine givingness circulating abundantly through my life, my community, and my world. And so it is. All right, so let's go ahead and have our closing. Hey, we go forth today, knowing that we are God's blessing in the world. Only good
goes from us. Only good comes to us.
And so it is. Okay, family. Awesome Sunday. Please go light your candle and remember that transformation leads to great things.
Yep.
Okay.